I've always been into nostalgia. And I don't mean the nostalgia critic, I remember it, so you don't have to kind of way. Which makes no sense, because he's making you remember it. I guess that's the joke. There's nothing funny about that. I'll tell you what. I just like to remember the good times, before politics became such a terrorizing topic. I can quote iconic movie lines. I can wear clothes that were famous, torn up jeans, and I still have my 80s mullet, without having people judge me 3 times a day, because I'm complicated. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that I love 2 guys and a girl. I don't mean it that way. But there's a lost episode many people don't know about, including die-hard fans, such as myself. I remember being a huge fan when it first came out, and I remembered when it was called 2 Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Especially loved that pizza place, and I remember when the Bare Naked Ladies performed the theme song. It's unusual to remember a show that wasn't even iconic, but as I said, I love nostalgia, and it all started with a big bang. I found the VHS tape of 2 Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place at my job, the ostrich farm. The farm is located next to a garbage facility, so sometimes there are items on the ostriches such as pants, unused insulin packets, VHS tapes. I was taking care of the big ostrich, George. He was acting disheveled in a way. I tried to feed him his lunch, which consisted of leaves and sand. I reached my hands up to him so he could eat his food. "All right, you big bird, here's lunch," I said in my big bird voice that I use around the ostriches. Well, apparently that spooked him, and he started flapping his wings and began making weird noises. George then bent his knees and flew into the sky, which was strange, because ostriches don't make those noises. Now, you're wondering where I got the lost tape of 2 Guys and a Girl. Well, just drop out of the sky after George flew off, and I don't want to question that because fuck logic. Later that night I got home and I put in the VHS tape and expecting my favorite show. Well, let me tell you, son. Life's short, but it's full of surprises. And that means you shouldn't always expect the best. Oh, that theme song played weird, like it was just the 3 main characters, Berg, Peter, and Shannon, dancing with no music. I just thought I had my TV on mute, so I just assumed copyright issues. The episode started off as Pete was in a very happy mood, walking into the pizza shop and humming Laffy Taffy to himself. And then he immediately sees Berg, who is played by Ryan Reynolds. "Berg, today is the day I'm going to ask Shannon to be my wife. I want her to be in my life forever. I just know it's going to work." Berg wasn't in his happiest comedic mood when Pete entered the restaurant. I guess he seemed... forget what word I'm looking for. Let me look it up here. Disheveled, in a way. "Well," he said as it was silenced for like 30 seconds. "Congrats. You finally did it." The audience laughed so hard, they began clapping and making woo noises, which confused me because I've only seen an audience laugh like this when something actually funny happens. "There's going to be madness." "Madness," said Mr. Bauer, who was known to make up life experiences that were from movies. "In the future, we'll all have fleshy duck beaks and sacks of potatoes." Mr. Bauer began to chew on his fingernails in a nervous tone. I sure hope they tasted good. "Mr. Bauer, calm down. I don't know what movie reference you're saying," said Pete as he tried to calm him down. Mr. Bauer ran out of the pizza place, almost terrifying the customers. Well, I'll tell you what, it did terrify me. I almost wanted to call the police. even though there wasn't a crime, but I just wanted to tell them that I'm scared. Oh boy. I hear a noise. I hear a noise. I hear a noise. You see, my parents were murdered by ducks when I was 10 years old. It was on the day that DuckTales debuted, so that's the only nostalgic show I cannot watch. You know how much it fucking hurts to not be able to love that theme song? It is so catchy and otherwise adorable. But I continued watching, knowing my love of this show. The next shot showed Pete knocking on Shannon's door, but there was no answer. He knocks again, still no answer. Pete opens the door in an uneasy tone. Shannon, he said, as he saw a chair that was backwards of him and her blonde hair showing. He turned the chair to find Shannon as a skeleton. Both me and Pete screamed out loud. There was hyper-realistic blood on the skeleton. But wait. This is a live TV show, I screamed out. Who did this? As the door opened, revealing the killer. It was Berg. And at that point, it all hit me. Big Bird. Berg. Who was played by Ryan Reynolds. I was shocked. How come a guy who wanted to be a doctor and was the only character who played Deadpool could kill one of his best friends? Ryan then formed a smile and said something that made me want to throw my TV out the window because it's plagiarism. Did I do that? He said as he started to giggle profoundly. The audience started to laugh, and the laughter turned to people coughing, and loud thumps were heard, indicating that they all died of laughter. The end credits began to show as the VHS tape stopped playing, but I wasn't playing around anymore. It took me 12 minutes to analyze what I just watched. I got up, went to the kitchen, took 2 cans of SpaghettiOs, a cold glass of milk, and I poured the SpaghettiOs into the glass of milk, which was really freakishly tall. And as I sat in my dining room eating, I could hear the noises in my brain that George the Ostrich made earlier that day. But that wasn't the whole story. Because I looked up, and there he was. There was George the Ostrich, but as he turned his head to the right... No, it wasn't George the Ostrich at all, but my greatest fears had come true. I hear a noise. Hi, I'm Chris Hansen, said Chris Hansen himself. Could you explain why you watched that tape? I was confused because I'm not a sex offender. I can tell you that right now. I'm just an American who loves the nostalgic times. I clearly don't know why. I'm a big fan of 2 guys and a girl and a pizza place, so I just wanted to watch this tape. I said because that was the best answer I could think of. I could feel sweat coming down my face and my arms, and my breath was growing rapidly. It smelled like milk and SpaghettiOs. Did you know that that tape was lost for a reason? He asserted. I tried to come up with a better answer than last, but I fainted. I woke up in my favorite store, Goodwill, realizing that I was just dreaming. That I needed to take my insulin shot. I began to rub my eyes, but felt a duck beak around my nose and mouth. I realized that I'm half duck and half human.
outside always expect the best, 'cause the worst, but it's my